Hello there, World of Hose. I'm of course your host, the Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be breaking into the Hori Type 3, Hori Type 2, and the Hori Type 1 as a tech tree showcase. Now, these vehicles are very special. They have some of the highest penetration values in the game, tier for tier. In fact, the Hori is literally known as turning any tier 10 armor profile into literal butter. It doesn't matter if you're aiming at a fully hull-down IS-4 or the turret of an E-100, you will literally go through one side of the tank, go through the rear, and then penetrate 5 more vehicles behind it. That is just how strong the Hori's gun is. So I figured, you know what, let's do a full tank review of these vehicles in today's video. Even though they have such strong attributes going for them, weirdly, these are some of the least ground lines in the game. And I always wonder, well, what makes the Hori such a least ground line? What makes the TVP 5051 a very unpopular tank by choice, and same for the WZ-113 GFT, even though they are really strong vehicles? Well, I think it's down to the fact that they look really weird. Why do you want to play a tank that looks like a couple Lego boxes stuck together when you could play a vehicle like the Object 268, which actually looks really nice? I think the Hori Type 2 looks pretty decent, but apart from that, I mean, really, the Hori is not a beautiful looking vehicle, and it's probably one of the reasons why I don't drive it much as well. The camouflage looks really funky, and yeah, the tank just doesn't really look amazing. However, its playstyle is truly amazing. The first thing that a lot of people may notice about the Horis is that they shoot AP as standard ammo and premium. Now, the premium AP, you might be wondering, well, what are the benefits over heat or APCR? Well, AP has every benefit over APCR. Sure, it might not have as much shell velocity, but it loses much less penetration over distance, and as well, it has more shell normalization. Now, what exactly is shell normalization, may you ask? Well, this here is a Hori shooting its premium AP at the upper plate of an M6 Yo, and you can see there, it is 360 millimeters thick at aiming at that spot, so the 380 millimeters of premium AP goes straight through the vehicle. Now, let's go to an Object 268, which is also running calibrated shells. And you'll notice it cannot penetrate the upper plate that is 430 millimeters thick. Now, why is the thickness of the upper plate stronger when you're aiming at it with heat than AP? Well, it has to do with shell normalization. Basically, the way shell normalization works is when you're aiming at angled armor, it takes away 5 degrees of that angle with AP, and it makes it a heck of a lot weaker, as you can see. Like 70 millimeters weaker when using just on that example there at the M6 Yo. And obviously, that is what makes this gun so strong, is really that 380 millimeters of AP pen now goes up to like 440 millimeters of AP pen. It's pretty ridiculous how much this tank is able to get away with. And the Tier 9 has the same AP ammunition, and so does the Tier 8. So let's start off with the Tier 8, talk about its strengths and the weaknesses. Now, the nice thing about this tank is it has pretty decent mobility. It goes 45 kilometers per hour forward, 15 in reverse, and it's got a power-to-weight ratio of 16. So it's fast, it's at a very good amount of penetration, as we went over, and it's got pretty decent damage per minute at 2,800. Its aiming time and dispersion are a little bit lackluster, and I'll be honest, this is definitely the most boring out of the vehicles in the line. The Cheeto SPG is a ridiculously strong tank, as many of you probably know. Now, when we take a look at the armor profile of this Tier 8 tank destroyer, it's okay. I mean, if we get an average heavy tank out here, let's just do the T-32, you'll see, yeah, the armor's not great. I mean, it is about 120 on the lower plate. Upper plate's actually not terrible at 200, 250 on the edges, but it's not strong enough to really bounce a lot. I mean, you can get a couple troll bounces here and there, but apart from that, really, yeah, don't expect to get many bounces. That will change, however, when we get to the Tier 9, and especially when we get to the Tier 10. So let's see if we can load into a battle. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Tier 8. I'll be honest, it is definitely my least favorite of the line. Its mobility is nice. It's very comparable to the Tier 10, where the Tier 9 is much slower on acceleration and overall top speed, but it's just more down to the fact that this tank doesn't have big alpha, and when you look at its DPM, it's not great. If you compare this vehicle to a tank like, let's say, the WZ-120, or really any other Tier 9, not Tier 9, but Tier 8 tank destroyer, it's just a lot worse. So here we are in our first battle on Dynasty's Pearl, and let's see exactly what we can do. And one thing I actually forgot to mention is that I think this tank is 8 degrees of gun depression, which is very flexible. That means that you can work basically any ridgeline you need to, but as we went over, unfortunately, the armor does not work all too well. We got 2 Action 10s behind us. In the enemy team, they've got an Action 10, Chieftain T95, 2 very strong hold-down beasts. We got a Panther 2 here, and we've got an Indian off to the side. So, oof, there is a miss right out of the beginning of the battle. So we're going to see what we can do here. We got that Indian aiming. 3, 2, 1, and come on, reload. There you go. Nice tap into the side of his tank for 400. And it looks like our Action 10 got a pretty nice tap as well. So right off the beginning of this battle, it looks like our team is doing pretty half decent. Our Action 10 is in a bit of a weird scenario. We've got one on the enemy team, and let's aim in on his lower plate. Boom! Nice tap for 377. But you can tell that was a pretty lucky shell. When it comes to the dispersion of this gun, it's really not amazing. Let's aim it on the Sturm Mill. There you go. Nice tap. Again, we got pretty lucky that that actually managed to hit. I'm very surprised that all these shells are hitting. But let's back up from that Action 10. We've got a Chrysler K over here who's obviously trying to be a weirdo, but here we go. We got a Chieftain T95 over here. Can we get a shell into his tank? Well, you know what? I'm going to use my speed, and let's see if we can get a shell right into his roof. There you go. Nice tap for 367. And let's back up. The reverse speed of 15 on this tank is pretty nice, I'm going to be honest. The ability to just get out of cover feels very strong. We've already tapped 800 hit points off of this vehicle, and because we've got 2800 DPM, we're able to get another shell in, and that's 1200 buckaroos of damage we've already gotten off of him. And, well, let's finish him off. Here we go. Aiming, and 3, 2, 1, fire. Thank you very much for your hit points, good sir. This guy is clearly being a very helpful teammate, but either way, we're already at 2600 damage this battle, and we're going to continue pushing on forward, see if we can get more damage out. So we got the... my Action 10 ate that shell. That sucks. One other nice thing I've actually noticed about this vehicle is it actually has a pretty nice gun arc. With gun arc, you obviously have the capability to get some pretty nice shells out into the enemies. So here we go. We've got the M30 here. Let's see if we can get a shell out into his tank, and speed is key. Let's go. Come on, we can get one shell out, I believe. Spin me. No, 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 and fire. There you go. You know what? I'll take it. We broke 3000 damage, and that's really all that matters. So here we go. This is the Hori Type 1. It's pretty decent on all aspects. The gun is good, its armor's troll, and it's got pretty decent mobility. It's not a bad tank to play, and it's definitely a decent grind, but it's also not super fun. You'll definitely get bored of this tank probably halfway through the grind. A tier 8 gun also is not terrible in this tank, though, I will say that. Nice amount of penetration on the standard at 215. Premium's pretty good, and it actually carries very strong DPM at 3,111, so it's definitely not a stock bad grind either. Now we're going to go to the Hori Type 2. Now what is good about this tank? Well, instead of having a 400 damage per shot gun, we go to a 560, the same alpha that the tier 10 carries. Now this 560 alpha is incredible because you're able to roll the enemy every time. I mean, it's obviously going to outtrade any tier 8 heavy tanks, and even tier 9 heavies you easily outtrade. Not to mention, if we take a look at the armor profile of this vehicle, moving us up on one tier, and let's get out of tier 9 heavy, let's just do, you know, the M103 will be pretty comparable. This is the armor of the tier 9. The upper plate is incredibly hard to penetrate. Even with heat shells and Callion, you can't penetrate. It's 560 thick. I mean, this upper plate, look at how thick that is. It's actually insane. And there are people that will definitely fall for shooting it. As well, the superstructure, if you angle it correctly, is pretty decent thick. I mean, that's 260 millimeters. Sure, if you're running Cali, you'll cut right through it. But mediums, especially tier 8s, they are going to struggle like crazy to cut through that armor. But yeah, don't really rely on the armor. Premium shells from tier 8s will still cut through this vehicle, but it's nice. It's nice that you can get a lot of bounces on that upper plate, and at the same time, you carry a gun that is capable of buttering through the enemy with 290 millimeters of standard pen and 340 on the premium. As we went over about before, that's an extra 60 millimeters due to shell normalization. This thing's got like 400 millimeters of effective penetration. Its damage per minute at 2850 is plenty to work with, and its dispersion is great at 0.326, same for the aiming time at 3.9 seconds. By the way, did I forget to mention 8 degrees of gun depression once again. Now mobility, it does go 37, but unfortunately its power to weight is 12.5, which is terrible. The tank only averages about the same speed as an E100, which, yeah, to put lightly, is not great. So you got to be very cautious on where you put this vehicle, because where you put it is usually where you're going to keep it for the rest of the game. I actually really like this tank. This is a vehicle that I find is kind of the unlucky one of the line. A lot of people don't really give it a lot of good raps and reputation, but I think it's pretty nice. It's a really good vehicle. So what do we have on our team? Well, we got a 60 TP, we got a T57 heavy, and a Kranvang. So that's pretty strong. We've got our shell loaded in, and I'm going to sit right back here. We're going to see if we can get any taps into the enemy tanks. Here we go, waiting, and here we are. Now, the great thing about this vehicle is if you need to frontline, you can. I mean, it has armor, as we went over, and if you want to penetrate it confidently, you will need to load premium ammunition, which will make your hit points, which is not much at 16 1300 compared to the average heavy at 2400 at tier 10, at least make it a lot further. Now, the enemy team, as we can see, has 2 heavy tanks. They have a T-57 Heavy and a Chieftain Mark 6. Apart from that, they really don't have a heavy-centered lineup. So vehicles like our WZ-120 and Hori in the back, they are not going to enjoy the enemy's company all too much. On flat ground here, you can see that we are getting some decent traction on our speed. Let's see if we can yeet a shell into this guy. Oh my god, that was possibly one of the farthest off shells I've ever seen. Holy moly. Well, good news is that we're going to be able to reload before any mediums are detected as it is. There's a blind shell from a something, probably a medium of some sort. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of chill here. If I was a medium, I'd be sitting, somewhere about where the mediums are on the enemy team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely put my tank somewhere in the back here. And maybe we can get some shells into the enemy tanks. But big issues are going to arrive when it comes to vehicles that come into our spawn. So you do have to be very careful about that, especially if I am the one getting flanked. So I'm going to start backing up, actually. I got to be extremely cautious here. We have that E50M off to the side aiming, and oh, there you go, fire. That definitely connected. And yeah, that E50M probably not enjoy missing about 560 hit points right at the beginning of the battle. So we got a Chieftain Mark 6 who just got undetected, which kind of sucks. I'm hoping that our team does end up spotting that guy. But for now, I'm just going to keep backing up. Backing up. We're going to see if we can get a shell into this Object 140 if he continues to back up over here. Or if that Mark 6 gets detected, hopefully we're going to be able to get some decent shells out. So, what do I want to do? Well, honestly, if our team's not going to do much, I'm going to push out, and we're going to see if I can just get a slap right into this guy. So here we go, aiming, and there you go. Nice tap into that 140 for 544. Let's back up, and let's see if we can get another shell out, maybe. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, and aiming. There you go, another nice tap for 625. You can see where that 560 damage per shot feels really nice. I mean, this poor guy, I don't really know what he's doing, but he's not doing a great job at it, if I'm going to be completely honest. Shell just went right into the, I don't even know there, just the wall for no reason. But good news is we haven't lost any health yet. We've already done a pretty decent chunk of damage, and the enemy only has 3 vehicles left. So let's continue pushing on in the position, at least because we're going downhill. The 12 power to weight ratio seems not too bad. And actually, I don't know how the terrain resistance is. So that's one thing that might actually make the power to weight seem a little bit better than it probably actually is. So here we go. Speed is key. Let's make our way around this corner and see if we can get a shell out. Oh, there you go. WZ-111 GFT aiming, and fire. There you go. Nice tap into his tank. But we also got the Chieftain Mark 6 over here, who I do not want to be shot by. So let's back up before I do end up getting hit by his tank. Now, one thing I can say about the WZ-111 GFT is that it has one of the worst DPM values in tier 10. And there we go. Nice bounce from the Chieftain Mark 6, speaking about the armor that is able to do a pretty decent job. So here we go. Again, I'm going to reload. Wait a couple seconds. That WZ, it looks like he shot my teammate. So here we go. Let's see if I can get another shell into that Mark 6. Boom, 595. And yeah, this game we're at 3,400 damage already. And again, I'm just going to reload. Hopefully we can get a shell out into the WZ-111. Aiming, and we are all ready. Come on, Polka Dude. You know you want to. Come on. I don't think he's going to. Well, I don't really know what to do here at this point then. Oh, wait, fire! Yes, there you go. Nice tap for 625. He ended up missing us, and with that, we're sitting at 4,000 buckaroos of damage. I mean, that's pretty strong. So here we go. We got this guy. That's all who is left, and you know what? Let's take a fire. Yo! I thought we hit that, but no. I was about to say yes, but no. It looked like our shell hit, but actually somebody else finished him off. Either way, there we go, 4,041 damage. Clearly, you can see where this tank works well. The gun, I mean, we really didn't miss many shells this game. We were able to blind fire that E50M for 525. We took 1,160 off of that Object 140, 1,175 off the 111 GFT, and even 1,200 off that Mark 6, who failed to penetrate me both times because he probably shot the upper plate, not knowing where to shoot. Another thing I do want to point out that I forgot to mention is that this tank has fantastic premium damage. It only loses 15 damage a hit, which is ridiculous when you think about it. The fact that you can load premium and basically have no drawback compared to just shooting standard ammo. Now we're moving on to the final tank, and definitely the most enjoyable, the Hori Type 3. This vehicle kind of has the whole shebang going for it. It gets elements of the Tier 9 and Tier 8 and combines them. So it's got the gun of the Tier 9, 560 damage per shot, same premium penetration, and not penetration, but damage per shot at 545. And it has way more pen, 20 more on the standard, and not to mention as well, an extra 40 on the premium. Its dispersion is amazing at .308. It's got a ridiculous aiming time, and this is one of the most most accurate tier 10 TDs in the game. You'll notice that it just never blooms on Dispersion. The DPM is great at 3,325, plenty to cut through the enemy, and its gun depression's a bit poor at 6 degrees, but judging that you are a TD that normally sits at the back, at least for the beginning of the game, you don't need to worry too much about that. Mobility-wise, the tank goes 50, and it averages a speed of 31. Its power to weight is not amazing at 16.5, I'll be honest. It's very similar to an IS-7's power to weight, but when you do actually need to get in the position, you normally are on flat ground, so it's not too bad on the overall acceleration anyway for a tier 10 tank destroyer. When we take a look at the armor, man is this tank weird. Unlike the tier 9, which has a very sturdy upper plate, the tier 10 does not. It's a very easy pen, but also a very hard pen, and this is why. Let's get a tier 10 heavy out. Let's do the 210-5. Let's obviously put on Cali. So this is the difference between Cali and not Cali. So if this thing angles correctly, it becomes really weird to pen. The weakest spot, honestly, to shoot at is the track wheel. If you know how to shoot it, when it tries to angle, you just shoot it in the track. But you'll notice that this center part here, which is the most abundant that people shoot at, is 253 thick. So if you angle it, yeah, it gets pretty troll. The edges are 200 to 300 millimeters thick. The lower plate's got a super troll spot. The upper plate has an auto ricochet bounce. The roof has a really troll spot. And even the edges are very troll on this tank. It is really a weird vehicle to aim at. And because of that, it gets some stupid bounces. This little gunner's port gets bounces. I know many of you have aimed at this vehicle and probably gotten incredibly troll bounces on the armor. It's very irritating when it happens, but it happens all too often. Sometimes you'll shoot at the vehicle and you'll end up hitting the gun because the mantlet does take up, as you can see, a pretty big spot. And yeah, that mantlet is very troll, as it's, again, about 250 thick. So the whole vehicle frontally has very good armor. It's nothing incredible, but you will get bounces here and there, which is really all that matters for a vehicle that shouldn't be getting bounces as it is anywhere. So here we go, up the hill we go, and obviously, as I am a tank destroyer, you're going to see just what I'm able to do to the enemy opponents. Now, they have an E100, and an E100 literally has no armor when it's aiming, or I'm aiming at the vehicle. 5A, don't even get me started on how easy that thing is to pen, as it is with a normal tank destroyer, let alone this vehicle. Remember I said the gun basically has no aiming time? I mean, look at this aiming time. You just instantly have a shell ready. We got a 57 heavy over here. Oh yeah, look, an E100. Let's just, yep, right through the vehicle. So now we put on our adrenaline, we reload again, and hopefully we should be able to get some more shells out. So that was already a pretty nice tap, if I do say so. There's the Fosh again. Another nice tap. Massive low roll, but we still penned him either way. And in a couple more seconds here, 3, 2, 1. I mean, this is standard ammo, and just look at how easy this guy is to pen. There you go, no ricochet, and that's an easy pen again. We're already sitting at around 1,500 bucks of damage here. There's a 57 heavy. I mean, again, look at the armor. It doesn't have any, and fire. There you go, easy shot going right where I want it to. Extra 576 damage, and we're sitting at 2,000 already. So, yeah. I don't really know what to say. This tank's armor is, not the armor capabilities of penetration, by the way, aiming time, as I said, really doesn't have an aiming time. It instantly is aimed in. This tank is honestly one of the dumbest vehicles in the game. The abilities it has as a tank destroyer are stupid. I mean, the gun just never disperses. You can see, I mean, you can just wiggle it all you want, and then you're always aimed in. It's pretty stupid. So I'm just going to chill here. We're going to see if anybody gets detected. Unfortunately, our 57 heavy is getting buttered by the enemy WZ-111-5A, and at the same time, yeah, our team is bleeding a lot of hit points. There is a lot of vehicles on the enemy team still alive as well. Sheridan just finished off one of my teammates, and with the, yeah, not going amazing for our team. Come on, drive up and fire. There you go. Another tap into the T-57 heavy. A pretty big tap at that. And obviously, again, that guy is probably not enjoying my company all too much. So, we got our Vickers Light and our Sheridan over here. So let's see if the Sheridan wants to poke this. Not exactly sure what the guy is planning on doing. But what am I going to plan on doing? That is the bigger question here. Well, let's see if I can poke this just correctly. Here we go. Aiming and fire. There you go. Nice tap into the rear of the Sheridan. And now I'm going to pull forwards and hopefully get out of the enemy's way. Speed is key. We took a nice match roll off of that Sheridan as well, which feels pretty dang strong. We're already sitting at over 3,000 damage. And now I can start moving up in the front line, hopefully helping our team do some more aggressive rolls. I'm hoping that our team does finish off that enemy Sheridan as well. We got the 100 over here. And I'm praying that our grill actually does a decent job. So let's see if we can get a shell into the enemy. Let's push over here. Hello, comrade. No, looks like nobody's there, which is actually probably for the better. I'm going to keep on pushing up. That 183 is hopefully going to be taken out very, very shortly. And there you go. 57 heavy is pushing straight on up aggressive. He's taken out, which is fantastic. We know that the 100 was over here, but not anymore. I saw a tree fall down right there. Now what that means is most likely the Sheridan is right in front of us. Oh, there's WZ1158. Come on, Sheridan, where are you, dude? I want to clear the Sheridan, but you know what? If we can't shoot the Sheridan, let's go for the Foch. Here we go, and dead, or not. Wow, that was a very, very sad day for my shell. But good news is that, you know what, let's just load a premium shell just to rub it in a bit, and goodbye. Oh my god, it went right into his mantlet. Well, I can't really say much about my luck. That is a different story, but hey. Oh my, well, there went our tank, guys. Either way, you could already see the advantages of the Hori. It's a great tank. We're going to win this game either way. I definitely did my job. Unfortunately, yeah, you can see that the 183 at 200 health, our team was incapable of clearing the entire game. But it looks like, even with that, this is still going to be a pretty easy win. And I'd just like to see how much damage we were able to farm off the enemy. Now, sadly, how do you miss that, Vickers? How do you seriously miss a frontline open... Okay, either way, let's watch this again. There you go, and nice job. But as I said, we were able to easily just rip into the enemy. And somehow I managed to hit the Foch's mantlet 2 times in a row. I guess that's just my luck. It probably was a combination of me not aiming because I thought I didn't need to, and also the fact of just me getting bad luck. But yeah, I can't believe we hit that mantlet twice. I need to double check that aiming. We'll check after this. And you know what? We don't need to watch as well. While we're waiting for the post-game results, I just want to see, was that me aiming bad, or was it just the shells going into his mantlet 2 times? So let's go a little bit ahead. Oh, come on. See, this is the issue with the replay editor, as we've been over, when you skip too far ahead. You have to redo the whole replay. So here we go. Take 2. Let's go a little bit further back, like here, where we should be aiming at the Foch. Here we go. And yeah, I'd like to see... So I aimed correctly, and that just didn't pen. So that shell was aimed correctly. Let's go a little bit ahead here. And... honestly, yeah, you can see where my dot is right there, and it just, okay, so I guess that's just me getting unlucky. The Hori just said, haha, you said I'm accurate? I guess not. But either way, we won that game, and we still did 4,063 damage. We only bounced that Foch, and every other shell easily buttered through the enemy. You can see why the Hori is such a strong vehicle. Its gun is ridiculous, and apart from that Foch unluckiness, don't really take that as a example of what the gun does, because the shots that we fired before are really what this tank is known for. I love the Hori. We easily could have done 5,000-6,000 damage this game, especially if we hadn't have gotten nuked by that 183 who was unfortunately aiming at us. But yeah, we did pretty good. And this is the Hori line. Let me know if I convinced any of you to go down it, if you like this playstyle. But at the same time, let me know why you don't want to grind this line. What is the reasoning to why you don't like this line? Not why you don't, but why people don't want to grind this line. What is your reasoning if you've pushed this line off over others? Let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.